Modern art is dead and social media killed it. I'm going to talk to you today about what art is and always has been, how modern art damaged the relationship between the artist and the audience. No one cares about art. I'm going to show examples of the worst, the absolute worst art that has ever been made. But on the flip side, I'll also show you examples of the greatest human artistic achievements that happened right in front of our eyes, that we all enjoyed, that we all loved, but we didn't frame it as art. My goal in this video is to give the final death blow to the hoax and the fraud and the intentional misleading nature of what modern art is. And on the flip side, reframe what we had the privilege of witnessing and the greatest blossoming of creative energy the world has ever seen. We've seen both sides. Modern art, terrible. Modern, real art is some of the best ever made. So my goal with this video is to encourage new artists, students, because what they can achieve is beyond what has ever been achieved before. It's in your hands. So welcome to the Creative Show. My name is Arpad. I talk everything creative and I make original content. I actually am just, the process of creating this painting has got me thinking about this concept of modern art, abstract art, and what it means and what it will mean going into the future. Buckle in. First, what is art? Art is simply us communicating with the future. That's it. It could be anything. It could be literature, music, film, fine art, whatever. I have been working on this painting for a couple months now. I've seen this painting, but this is the first time, if you're watching this video, you've ever seen this painting. So my past is literally communicating with the future. I'm still working on it. So then what's in it? What's in the message? What's in the painting? It's a mood. It could be a story, a feeling, an impression, some information, whatever. If it's just communication, what is good art? Good art is the clarity of what you're communicating. So in 100 years, will the person who sees this for the first time get the same message, get my message that I intended 100 years from now? There's a clarity in that communication. That's what good art is. Think of classical music that is timeless. You hear Four Seasons of Vivaldi, it's never bad in any era ever. It's just good. It's the clarity of the information. That is good art. I mean, you could say anything is art, but if there's no clarity, if there's no message, there's no good message, it's gone. And this is how social media revealed that the emperor has no clothes. It's the simple swipe. Not interested. Not interested. It doesn't matter what the price is. In 100 years, when there's no backing, when there's no art history being taught of how this is valuable, and no one reads a little label, no one is going to understand it. That message there is no message. It's going to be lost. It's going to be worthless. But in 100 years, the statue of David is still going to be dropping jaws. The Trevi Fountain is still going to be drawing a crowd. It's timeless. It's a testament to human creativity and craftsmanship and obsession. It has a story. There's evidence of a soul in there. And social media, with the swipe, has revealed the fraud that modern art is. Now, don't get me wrong. Modern art served its function. It's simply money laundering. We get it. We get it. I'm 40 now. I used to be thinking, trying to figure out, how is this worth that much money? Like, make it make sense. How do you get this valuation? What do I need to do to sell this painting for that much of a profit? How? And it was the wrong question to ask, because you're not in the N Club. You're not in that club. These rich guys are settling debts and transferring tax-free money through this vehicle but it's not. It wasn't art. So that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to explain to the younger generation. Don't get tricked by this. Let them do their trading, laundering, and washing of money and do their businesses. That's their game. But if you want to make something quality, and if you want to make something impactful that resonates with you and with your community, work on your craft. There is so much great stuff out there under our noses that have surpassed anything created before it. We just didn't categorize it as art. And I'll get into more detail of what those examples are in a little bit. But let's define what caused the slide and the deterioration. What caused the slide into absurdity, and what made art absolute garbage? Why? Why couldn't modern art be quality? Why did it have to devolve into almost to an insulting level? And that is what it is. That's what enrages me. It's to mock you. And it's to crush the artist's spirit. And I think it was done intentionally. It was done intentionally. And it was like, it was encouraged that the artist sell their soul to the devil, to money. But in order to sell their soul, they had to produce something unbearable to see. Great artists that you think are great took this deal, and they were showered with riches and fame and fortune at the cost of never making a good piece of art. And I will expose them to you, and you know them. You know the names. It's all in the art history books. And then when you look at it that way, and when you finally open your eyes and you look at the crap that they've produced, you know it's crap. I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt, because you can see how they could have improved it. You could have taken an idea and worked more with it and refined it and pushed it farther to justify that you are a great artist. And they didn't. They purposely didn't. They didn't do anything with it. And this was the deal, I think. This was the deterioration and the commodification of modern art. And it was a deliberate, sinister attack on human creativity and human potential. And entire generations of artists and students got captured by this greed and ego, pursuit for fame and recognition. They got captured by it, and they left their talent and their potential on the table, and they didn't achieve what they could have achieved. Because I'm not saying that these people weren't talented. I'm saying that they compromised their integrity and their love of art for fame and money. Like it's so evident now with the current musicians and artists. They compromise themselves, and the deal was you don't make something good. Instead of making something good and beautiful that will last, you mock your audience. You insult them, and you revel in your trickery, and you enjoy how you can fool them. And that is what modern art is. But on the flip side, I'm going to flip it to show you the good news. Like I said earlier, the greatest pieces of art were made in the 21st century. But it wasn't presented to you as art. It was presented to you, it was redefined as something else. Unfortunately, those people who chose craft, who chose their passion, and who created these timeless pieces, which I will show examples of, are not recognized in the history books. They're not recognized as artists. They're recognized as illustrators or comic book artists or animators, something less than high art or fine art. Those are the people who created the greatest pieces of art, and their legacy will last for generations to enjoy them. And these modern artists who took on the glory and the fame and the fortune, they all will disappear, and their work is going to be worth zero. Zero! Nothing. Nada. And they're the biggest names that you can think of, that you can name. and they will be nobodies in 50 years. Nobodies. Because the good stuff will crowd them out. And social media, with the swipe, with the likes, with the algorithm, has trained us, the audience, to curate our own preferences. And the algorithm just wants to keep us on the app, so they're serving us the things that will keep us interested. And what keeps us interested is not modern art. And you will see a resurgence of the classics. And you will see a resurgence of people on Instagram who are insanely talented and are creating paintings right now that are the best that there ever was. And they're small creators. They're not making it into the textbooks. They're not going to be taught in art history. But they run laps around these frauds that we think are great. So let's look at some modern art, and I'll tell you why artists are so attracted to this concept. And I'll also reveal to you its biggest Achilles heel and why it's dead today and why it'll never be revived. Thankfully so. Thankfully.
Modern art is expensive.
I painted like this, by the way. I tried it. I could show you examples. And the result that came out of this, I couldn't show it publicly. So I repainted the whole thing using actual skill. I tried this. And the reason it's so attractive to paint this way is because it's easy, is because you could do it and you can skip over the development process and the failure, the constant failure of you trying to do something and it's not working out. You're not getting it because you're not skilled enough and it's frustrating. But if you could just splatter paint on the canvas like this and say, I did this on purpose, then you never make a mistake. Then you're already a genius. So what's the point of crafting and staying up late at night and just working at your craft the entire time, being frustrated and disappointed in yourself? If you could just skip it and do this and say, no, I've done it on purpose. I am a genius. That reward system, that reward mechanism is so attractive to artists. And what is more encouraging to you is because everyone agrees and accepts this fraud. They agree with it because if they agree with it, then they can do it as well. They can take part in becoming a genius. That's why it's attractive to artists.
From completely white canvases to simple abstract colors, these seemingly basic works can cost you millions.
Red, blue, white, purple. How long does it take to do that? What skill requires that? Red, blue, white, purple. Same colors, different level of skill.
Seemingly basic works can cost you millions.
Forget about the price. Forget about the price. Think about looking at this in 100 years. It's over. It's over. The fraud is finished.
So what makes their price so high? And how can they possibly be worth this much money?
Look at this. It looks like, as you rightly would point out, if your 4-year-old is learning how to write L's in cursive with a huge brush, this is what they would achieve. Your initial instinct is dead on. It's not that you don't understand. It's what you see, and it's correct. Forget about that price. That is not in your club. You're not in this as a regular viewer. What you see is what is being communicated. And you are absolutely correct. and thinking, what is this? Why? We all know.
Modern art is a wide field.
And this is why people are alienated and don't want to participate, because they're like, okay, I'm done. I don't get it. I don't get this at all. Fine. Whatever. It's art and I don't understand it. You do understand it. You understand it perfectly. You're seeing it. This is what you're seeing, and it's in front of you, and it's fraud. It's not good.
Covering everything from around 1870 to 1970. But say modern art to someone on the street.
Again, the initial thing was like, my kid could do this. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. There is a concerted effort to not pay attention, to not take care, to mock the artists that come before it. And the reward that artists get for doing this is praise and financial compensation. It's like a pump and dump. It's like a meme coin. They're pulling the rug on you. You're the sucker. And if you disagree, then you just don't get it. You're not high-minded. You don't think like them. You're not a visionary. You're not a genius. And everyone wants to be a genius. It's their ego. This is not genius.
And chances are they possibly picture something like this.
I would be so pissed if my child did this to my wall. And here's the thing. Before you start arguing with me, why not develop this a little more? Why not add like another hue? Why not add a little shadow in between where the lines cross to make it a little 3D, to give it some semblance of intentionality, some composition. This is like blood smeared on a canvas, and you can sugarcoat it with like, oh, but the messaging, oh, but the feeling it evokes. Bull. Give it something. You could develop it more. If I were to look at this canvas, I could be like, okay, I got this. Now, let me use my skill. Let me use my knowledge. What does it communicate? How do I extract more from this? They didn't. Because they took that ticket. And they're mocking you. I'm painting this because I understand that I could paint that, but I'm not going to mock you.
At the turn of the century, art changed.
15 million.
From the birth of abstract impressionism to the minimalists and even performance art.
I've done this exact thing. So I'm talking from experience. I've done this, and the result that I got from this was not good. And then I went over my result with a fine brush, with a fine tooth, with a small brush, and I painted over these stupid splatters that didn't make sense and that didn't serve the image. And then I came out with something beautiful.
Art was no longer just about representing the world with skill.
That skill faded away after photography was invented.
No, it didn't. It didn't fade away. The people's passions didn't fade away, and the people's need to express something beautiful did not fade away. The best art was created in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It was just in a different form. The people who didn't take the ticket created art in a different way, which I will show you. It showed up in animation. It showed up in game design. It showed up in film. It showed up in special effects. And it went away from this. But art has always been about beauty. Art has always been about showing something, imagining something, and then putting it down onto some sort of medium accurately as you can. That was the initial drive of what a young painter or a young artist would do. They see something in their head, and then they want to share it, and they can't. They embark on this lifelong mission to hone their craft so they could finally project what they see in their head onto a canvas or onto a paper so they could show their dreams to you. And then when they do it successfully, you're like, I see that, I get it. I see what you see.
Once photography was invented, that was a skill that camera could do, so artists no longer felt that that was their primary reason.
That's not painting. I've done it too. I've done it. I've done this whole thing.
For making art. Art isn't about beauty. It never was, really.
If you don't create something that engages someone, if you create something that is not beautiful, what's the opposite of beautiful? Ugly. If you create something ugly, people don't want to see it. If you create an ugly sounding symphony, people are not going to go back and play it again and again and again, over and over and over again. If you create a video that is not communicating anything of value, then no one's going to watch it. They're going to swipe. This is how social media killed modern art. No one wants to see something not beautiful. Why would you put something up that does not make you look at it again and take pleasure into looking at something? Why would you look at something ugly? Communist architecture is not something easy on the eyes. No one goes to Eastern Europe to look at communist, brutalist architecture, but people swarm to Italy, swarm to Switzerland to look at beautiful architecture. Art has always been about beauty. Always. What's the point otherwise? Anyone and everyone can make something ugly because it takes no effort. And that's the ticket she's taking. She doesn't want to put in the effort. She doesn't want to suffer with no guarantee of getting anything in return. It's not selfless. She's not trying to be selfless. She's trying to be selfish. She's trying to convince you that whatever they're doing there has value. It doesn't. Never has. Never has. That's why the general public has distanced themselves and they're like, I give up. I don't care. I don't get it. You're right. You're a genius at whatever. I'm just gonna go to work and watch other stuff. And the audience and the market does look and consume beautiful art.
Really.
Art generally became more conceptual and more challenging.
No, it didn't. If it becomes more conceptual, it becomes infinitely less challenging because you can just write an essay beside it. It becomes infinitely less hard because whatever you do, you didn't do it incorrectly. It's like putting on a concert with no rehearsal. And nothing sounds good. There's no harmony. There's no structure. But then you could say, but it's conceptual. No, it's not. It's noise. It's super easy. You never had to rehearse. You never had to be like, let's do that again. Or let's repaint the thing. Or that doesn't work. And you're not self-critical. It's infinitely easier to do modern art. It's actually insultingly easy. This is a painting, The Sailboat, I did in 40 minutes in grade 10. My thing was Jackson Pollock. I wanted to see it be like Jackson Pollock. 40 minutes, grade 10. Infinitely easier than anything like this.
But this change wasn't popular with everyone.
Because no one wants it. Because no one wants to look at something that is easy to do. You want something that someone had to accomplish. Nothing is accomplished here.
2016 study of the British public. 28% of people don't consider this art.
My take, it's art. This has structure. This has a theme. It has a story. It's much easier to achieve because it's solid colors, but there's perspective, whatever. It's fine. It has all the elements that is required. It has a style. It's a style. Now, do you like the style or not? That's up to you to judge. That's a little bit subjective, but it's objectively, there's a story, there's form, composition. It's fine. This is fine.
65% of people.
Not fine. This is now the insult. Red on red with dirty yellow. Well, it's but the proportions, it follows a Fibonacci sequence, dude. This is now it's getting insulting.
Don't think this is art. And
Good, they're right. 65% of people are right because they are not highly educated. They just see, look at it, judge it, and they're correct. Correct. 65% of the people are correct.
83% of the public definitely.
Correct. Again, this is a mockery of art. You have the statue of David that was made in 14 whatever the hell, and then this a toilet bowl because Duchamp. This is it's so Armut or whatever. It's so high concept. It's not. It's an insult. It's an insult to you.
We don't consider this to be art. Over 100 years after its creation, the work is still somehow as divisive and controversial as ever with the public.
Because the public never buys it. They never bought it. They don't swallow the pill. New generations come up and their reaction is always like, what is this? You're communicating to the future. And every generation that comes looks at it and you're like, what are you trying to say? I don't get it. Exactly. It's fraud. It's bad. It's worth zero. Always will be. Always.
But that hasn't stopped record prices being set.
Money laundering.
Most people think that modern or contemporary artists are having a laugh at their expense.
They're correct. Your first instinct is correct. The entire school system, the entire education system is trying to convince you otherwise. But you could hear, you could feel it. You're correct. Imagine having to listen to, actually don't imagine, turn on the radio and listen to the garbage that is spewed and that is the popular music on the radio versus your playlist on Spotify, your tastes. How much better of a quality does your Spotify list have or your record collection than the garbage that is pushed out on the radio? It's the same thing here. They are having a laugh. You are being insulted.
And nobody wants to feel a fool.
And they're not. They're not feeling a fool. The only people who are buying this art, well, regular people aren't. Good. Let the rich eat this slop and garbage.
For many who are immediately dismissive of these pieces, frustration also often comes when they see the price.
Most of us, I think, tend to be cynics, and we, I think, a lot of times associate art with value, and that I think that triggers the question of, well, why is it that much, or why such a high value if I could probably do this. I think unless you're in the market and actively buying art, there's no need to look at art and think of a price tag. It shouldn't be the way you look at art.
Except if you devote your life into creating a craft, you want to be appreciated by society. So if you're a woodworker and you create fine furniture, you have a right to earn a good living because you're an expert at what you do. If you're a good musician, you will draw more of a crowd. If you can create a feeling and an experience when people sit down and just listen to you play a piano or a violin or whatever, you could create that feeling like no one else can because you devoted thousands of hours to it. Why not a painting? Why did it get so corrupted here? And the people who are at fault is not the audience. The people who are at fault is the artists, because they took this ticket and they went with it. And they formed a club that they all agree that they're not going to compete in the marketplace, and they're just going to degenerate into worthless, meaningless garbage. But again, like my point is, in the swipe on social media killed this. Thank God.
For the artists involved,
look at this, man. It's concrete on a canvas. What message are you delivering to the next generation? Confusion? What is this message? There is none. It's mocking you.
Shouldn't be the way you look at art.
Look at that. The sheer shamelessness in putting something up like this and calling it art, and sabotaging of other good artists because you're alienating the entire audience. Like, I don't want to be called an artist. If this is what art is, I'm not that. I'm a craftsman. I'm a painter, craftsman, or illustrator. Call me anything else, but I'm not this.
For the artists involved, what looks simple can be the culmination of a lifetime's work. Take the Black Square, for example, painted by turn-of-the-century avant-garde artist Kazimir Malevich. This simple black
And here's the audience taking pictures of a black square.
painting didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of 20 years of simplification and development. When it was shown, the black square was a revolutionary symbol, exhibited at the top corner of the room, a spot.
I'm gonna destroy this guy's argument. Let's replay that montage, and I'm gonna recontextualize this. This is the collapse of value in real time of art. Let's replay that again. Watch this.
This simple black painting didn't come out of nowhere.
Interesting. That's cool. But now he's starting to take the ticket. Now he's just painting squares because in 1918, that was the ticket to financial freedom. And he didn't develop his craft. And I don't want to hear about the context of the times. This is his morality being shown.
The black square was
At least the other one was designed. Now it's just red and white.
a revolutionary
Now it's a red and black cross.
symbol, exhibited at the top corner of the room, a spot reserved for Orthodox religious icons, making
A spot reserved for Orthodox religious icons. So it's a mockery. This is a mockery. This is the de-evolution of art. And the people who are taking pictures of it are confused by it, and they're trying to understand it. And I think they have good intentions. They're trying to understand because it's curious. There's nothing to understand. And my teachers in art colleges would and have convinced me of this. No more.
this work wasn't exactly an easy decision either. And in 1930, Stalin's regime confiscated Malevich's artworks and manuscripts, and he was jailed for 2 months.
Yes, the white canvases or the black canvases are very rarely all they've done. They haven't just come out of school and said, I'm going to paint a black canvas. I mean, as much as we might think we could do that, yes, we could do that. But the artist has thought of it and probably had...
So what if the artist has thought of it? I could think of a million different ideas. So what? Not all ideas are good ideas. Except, in fact, most ideas are terrible ideas. And most of the time, you're editing your ideas and getting rid of the bad stuff. You're taking things away to only have the best. But no, like I said, this is devolution.
A long journey and a process to get there.
The works aren't just made for profit. It's often only after the artist is dead that the art can fetch the incredible price that it's reached today.
And that's the irony of it all. That's the irony that the artists agree to. They agree to be famous after death. Their art is being traded as a money laundering vehicle, and there's no legacy. The guy left a black square as his legacy. That is what he created. Think about that. Even if you disagree with my analysis, the guy left as his legacy a black square. Terrible idea.
In 2008, one of Malevich's abstract works sold for $60 million.
He's not seeing a penny or his estate or anything like that.
And the demand for these important modern works is
Not important at all.
only going to increase.
And no, it won't. It'll take exactly one generation for all of this to be forgotten because there's nothing to remember. It's just a fraud.
The natural trend is for you to see a rise in prices, but that's because these true masterpieces
After this video, you will not remember this painting.
are rarer really all in museums.
Where they belong, in museums, because no person in their right mind would put this up. Actually, I'm wrong about that. I've seen things like this in corporate buildings, and I'm just like, why? But they're in the same mindset. They are part of the fraud. They're part of the whole. It's also exhausting.
But setting an actual price can be tough. In the end, the value is only going to be what people are willing to pay.
And this new generation, the generation that's going to come up, are going to be willing to pay nothing. Zero.
As long as there's going to be artists producing, there's always going to be sort of shifts in tendencies and taste, I would say also, in taste in the market.
As long as the lie could still be sold, these works will be produced. But as soon as we wake up, which we already have, this is done forever. It'll be a black stain on fine art, and we will judge our generations for falling for this. But hey, we're going to wake up eventually. Eventually, we're going to wake up, because this does not speak to anybody. This doesn't say anything to anybody.
It seems like every year there's a new record price. As extreme wealth inequality increases, so do the number of millionaires willing to pay the fortune required for these works.
They are the biggest slaves of this. Because regular people can make a choice to just ignore all of it. But the people who are investing real money are the biggest suckers. That's the irony of this. The whole irony of this is that you have never been fooled. The person watching this, you're a regular person who doesn't care about art, you've never been fooled. You just turned your head, turned away. But the high-minded, the ultra-smart, the ultra-educated have been taken in like suckers, and they've invested millions, and maybe they haven't been fooled either. This whole charade is just done to justify massive tax write-offs and financial dealings. But you, the regular viewer, have never been fooled. I'm trying to encourage younger people, to not fall for this. Don't fall for it. I did. I fell for it. I'm not judging you if you fell for it either. All love, much love. I fell for it hook, line, and sinker, but I clawed my way out of it when I realized, when I actually hung out with real talented people, and they showed me how detail-oriented and obsessed they are with their craft. And then I realized how much I didn't know, how much I still need to learn, and if I still wanted to be the best or amongst the best, how far away I was from that. And that was kind of scary, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. And then when I started pursuing my mission, I guess, fully, I stopped caring about trying to be the best, and I just wanted to create the best work that you deserve, that the audience deserves. Once it stops becoming about yourself, that's when you embrace the suck. And it's true with everything.